Thank you, Cathaoirleach. And can I first of all congratulate Deputy O'Cahasey on bringing forward this particular bill. I welcome the principle behind what he's trying to do here. I'm not sure if it's the exact correct mechanism, but I think it is important that we here in this Parliament and globally look to the future and look at the impact of decisions that we make today, not just over our term in politics, but the impact it has for future generations. And I suppose the single biggest criticism I have in relation to the political system is that we work on 5-year cycles, and it's all about the impacts that you can have over a 5-year period rather than looking at the long-term implications of a decision and taking decisions in the long-term strategic interest of a country. Now, as I say, I'm not sure about the actual mechanism that Deputy O'Cahasey is talking about here in terms of establishing an ombudsman. And I think, you know, quite a number of parliaments across the world now have established committees of the future, where the Parliament itself looks at the long-term projection in relation to issues and then works back from there in terms of steps, legislative, regulatory and policy steps that can be taken in the short term to achieve that. But I believe the principle behind it is well warranted, and I would like to see this particular piece of legislation progress beyond this and to have a far broader debate, because I think sadly we see in society at global level today a restructuring of the pillars of society that we've had in the past because of the huge social political changes we've seen, the financial crises that we've seen, the pandemics that we're dealing with. And we see now the shake-up that's taking place in many democracies across the globe, where there's this increased rise in populism. In tandem with that, then, you have the huge technological shift that's taking place in terms of automation, in terms of artificial intelligence, and the likes of nanotechnologies. And then you see the undermining of global institutions. We see what's happening on a day-to-day basis in terms of the United Nations and the UN Security Council. We see organisations like the World Trade Organization that have now become effectively obsolete. And I do think that we do need now to recalibrate everything, to look to the future, look to future generations, and see how we can work to achieve the goals that we want to achieve in the future. And I think that would help to bring about a completely different paradigm in terms of both human and planetary security. It would prioritise resilience, holistic well-being, safety and stability, not just for individuals and for communities, but for nations and for future generations, to help them navigate the multifaceted challenges and opportunities that we have today. And you know, there are a number of these emerging at the moment. Artificial intelligence, and there are positives and negatives in relation to that. Human augmentation, which we've seen in the last few days, where a young child had a limb replaced. But where do we draw the line in relation to that? There's huge opportunities in terms of the development of quantum computing. And then if we look at it from a climate perspective, one that is going to cause a huge geopolitical shift potentially is the whole area of geoengineering. What implication is that going to have in terms of large countries controlling effectively rainfall, where the rain falls, when the rain falls, the potential impact that that has for conflict in adjoining countries in terms of the environmental impact, the food impact, and as a result of that, the political impact resulting from that. So we are now living in a world where we have huge environmental threats, we have huge geopolitical tensions, and we have massive technological disruptions. And we do need to look from a very different perspective to a more secure and prosperous future that will require new cross-border alliances, improved relationships between governments and business, and more importantly, national and institutional collaboration to mitigate against some of these growing threats. And I believe the prism to look at these challenges through is that prism of future generations, rather than looking, as many countries do today, at it through the prism of what is in that country's self-interest. I think part of the reason that many of our institutions, our global institutions, are being undermined at the moment is because societies right across this planet are becoming far more insular rather than global in nature in terms of their view. And I think one of these concepts that the UN has espoused, this concept of human security, is a potential prism where we can look very differently at solving problems. And that does include the foresight that Deputy O'Cahasey has spoken about here, the long-term thinking and feeding that into the short-term decisions that we all have to make when we're around a cabinet table. But it's also about prioritising the security and well-being of individuals and communities, regardless of the socio-economic status, regardless of their ethnicity, their age, their gender identity, or their geographic location. It's about ensuring that communities most affected by decisions have a privileged voice in what happens and that they are listened to. And particularly, that's imperative when it comes to the global south in terms of global rulemaking that is taking place on a daily basis. But it's also about listening to local people, about listening to indigenous perspectives in many parts of the world, but listening to local communities in parts of Ireland that will actually challenge the groupthink that we have for so long seen in this country and many other countries, in terms of there is only one approach, there is only one solution, rather than trying to bring people on that journey with us. And I think if Deputy O'Cahasey's legislation facilitates a far broader engagement, a far more generous approach to actually listening to individuals, listening to communities, engaging with them in a manner where we're actually engaging and actually listening to them, rather than just hearing what they're saying so that we can respond to them, but that we can actually work with them to provide long-term sustainable solutions that not only address the challenges that we have today, whether it be in climate change or any other issue, but to do that for the generations to come as well. And because of that, I want to commend this bill to the House and hope that it does go through second stage and that we can have a far more detailed discussion about this at committee. So well done, Deputy O'Cahasey. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy.